I'm Erin Reiley, and we are here with another episode of Riley's Roundup. Today we're interviewing Erin Reiley. She works for the Rappahannock Area YMCA, but she does some side volunteering with King George SPCA. So we have a very exciting show today. Thank you for coming.
Yeah. I'm happy to be here.
We're about to talk dogs, right?
Yep.
Wet
absolutely.
noses.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's just get into it. So what brought you to volunteering at the SPCA?
Okay, so the Rescue League in King George, when I got back from college at George Mason back in 2014, I saw that they were in need of some fosters. Mm-hmm. So luckily, my mother approved that we could foster some kittens. So after doing that, I really got into it, but unfortunately got busy with school and work, so I had to back down for a little bit, and still helped out, volunteered when I could, but a few years later I saw that they really needed help at the King George Animal Shelter that's right next to the Y that I work at. So they needed people to take pictures of the dogs, help out with, socializing them, getting them ready, and more, I guess
acquainted with people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just to get adopted and, just get more used to human people being around them, getting the exercise they need. So so I did that, and that's what really got me into volunteering at the shelter, and that's kind of like my main thing now. So what I do is I help and send pictures to Wendy, who is the president of the King George Animal Rescue League. Okay. And, big kudos to her. She's amazing. She's very inspiring. She does so much stuff in the community that people don't even know of. But so I send the pictures to her, and so with King George Animal Rescue League being a small foster-based rescue, we're not able to take in all the animals that we want to and be able to into the rescue, since we're we don't have a brick and mortar facility. It's all foster based. Okay. So what we did, she created a transfer program. So she has so many connections with other rescues in the area. Calvert County, Old Dominion Humane Society, shout out to them because they are absolutely amazing. Fredericksburg SPCA, some places in Richmond. I mean, she has rescues all over the states that she works with. So what we do is she'll contact them if we can't take the dog and see if they can take them. And then we have volunteers that will transfer the animals to those rescues. Wow. I've been blessed to be able to help out with some of those animals that, it's been a life-saving thing where it's been life or death for these animals to be able to go to these rescues. So, and in the meantime, while they're waiting, to get transferred, the rescue covers medical expenses, gets them spayed or neutered. Big shout out to Virginia Kinchlow. They are amazing. They do an amazing job, and they're very affordable and work so well with so many rescues. So, that's kind of what got me into it. Walking into the shelter, seeing all the dogs that are just so excited to see you, you're the highlight of their day. It's just, once you get started, you can't stop.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's something that people can't grasp until they see it. So you kind of stood out, like, you volunteered to just get the animals used to people. Yeah. So tell me more about, like, what kind of state do they come to you in? Are these, like, abused animals?
Some of them are, and some of them come from great homes. There's it's all different types of circumstances. Yeah. So some will come where, they were just too much energy for a family. Yeah. And so they're great dogs. They just need to be exercised more and maybe need to get some training. Yeah. Some are abused. Unfortunately, some have been with an owner for so long and the owner unfortunately passes away, and they're senior dogs, and, we get whatever that is needed at the time. So, a lot of dogs, like when I first started, there was this one dog that I'll never forget. His name was Taboo, and Fredericksburg SPCA ended up helping and rescuing him. Yeah. But he was a pit bull with high energy, was tied to a tree outside. Wasn't taken care of very well. Great dog, but was not very, his first appearance wasn't very great. He was excited in the kennel, he was jumping. Yeah. But once he got out, exercised, he was a great dog. And, Fredericksburg SPCA saw something in him and, said, yep, we'll take him. And he got adopted. He was at the shelter for 9 months, got adopted maybe in a couple weeks. So it's just, sometimes it's just a change of scenery, and they just need some physical and mental stimulation, and they're good.
I mean, they can't tell us what they need, you know? They can't communicate that to us. And if I don't run or exercise every day, I'm wound up. So it's sad because they get neglected as if they're not just their own individual person. Yeah. But like when an owner passes away, nobody's there to tell them where that person that they grew attached to went. So, I mean, some little birdie told me that you kind of have been like an animal lover your whole life, and maybe you had some weird pets. Would you go into some of those? Some maybe reptiles?
Yes.
So tell us where it all began with little Erin.
Okay, well, so my mom, that you may know of her,
maybe.
She was a science teacher.
Yes.
So she was a life science teacher, so she was into all sorts of stuff.
Well, she also was an animal rehabilitator,
That's
right?
true.
Okay.
Yeah, she was, yes. So she did that before I was even thought of.
Yeah.
And, rescued baby deers and, bunnies and birds and anything you can think of that needed help. She did it, and that's definitely where I get it from. Yeah. So, growing up, I had, hedgehogs, bearded dragons.
Hedgehogs?
Yeah. I had a sun conure. I had snakes. I had...
Sugar gliders?
I had sugar gliders. I had rats. I know
was the snake, was that kind of influenced by Britney Spears during that time?
Maybe. It was very influential.
Wow, so you had... all of those.
Now, I will say the snakes, was probably mostly from Ginny. She, pet pandemonium that doesn't exist any longer. But they were big reptile people and got me into the snake. So I had a ball python and a tangerine milk snake and a corn snake.
Okay.
So, yes, it taught me to not be afraid of animals that we see out in the wilderness. And so it was really nice to get those experiences. But I definitely think now getting older, dogs and cats are probably more my forte.
So what was your favorite memory? Let's go back real quick. One of your favorite memories with that era of Erin, the reptile era. Any fun stories?
Oh, gosh. I mean...
Did any sneak out and like...
Well, so... I did have... My tangerine milk snake, loved her to death. She definitely always tried to escape. And I remember she escaped one time when I was at school, and my mother freaked out and came home and found her curled up in like one of my shoes in my closet. But my mom would not go upstairs for that whole day.
No, thank you.
And then, I think going to the reptile, what are they called? It's like where everybody comes together.
Like a convention?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, a reptile convention. I had iguanas around my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
I held a ball python that ended up biting my hand, but it didn't hurt, so it broke that fear.
Okay.
And just seeing, just being able to be exposed to like different types of snakes. I know that sounds weird, but they're like the pythons, there's so many different like colors and style. Like that was a pretty cool thing for me to see growing up. And but yeah, that was definitely a phase that has dwindled out.
Okay, so moving on back to the dogs, because you're not really a cat person, which is fine.
I love and respect cats, but dogs are definitely more my style.
You have a specific breed that you enjoy.
I do. So, and this is actually, the pit bull breed is definitely, something that's dear to my heart, and that is based on volunteering at the shelter is what, I'm not going to lie, when I first started, I did have this, thought going into it of being a little nervous and scared of the pit bull breed, just of what you hear. I hadn't been exposed to them too much prior, a little bit, but not on a personal basis. And so the shelter, they're so overwhelmed with pit bulls and hounds, which is another breed that I love. And it just opened my heart, and my whole perception changed on the breed. And there's an amazing rescue. It rescues Bully Paws, Bobby's Pit Bull Rescue, and many other rescues in the area that really help this breed and educate people on this breed. And they're definitely I have 2 of my own now that I've rescued, and they are the best dogs I could have asked for.
I think you sent some pictures, maybe in some festive sweaters that will probably show up here.
Yes.
So, okay, do you think that with the breed, it's just people disrespecting, like, their tendencies? I mean, you see them really in, like, a lot of dog fights, right?
Yeah. I mean, the pit bull it's a very strong breed, and it doesn't, not everybody can have a pit bull. They require a lot. But, just being at the shelter volunteering, this is my own experience. We have gotten some pit bulls from the worst conditions, mine that I've adopted being one of them, and they are they're happy, they're forgiving, and, they don't want to be aggressive. They're so misunderstood, and they're phenomenal dogs. I mean, my dog Milo that I rescued, he came in horrible conditions. I mean, he was skinny, he was swollen, he was tied to a tree for 5 years of his life. Not many human exposure, around other dogs on the property. And I mean, he loves every dog he meets. He loves every person he meets. He is a certified Canine Good Citizen. Shout out to Stana.
Good. What is that?
So it's
hold on. I don't have one of those.
It's a certificate. So it's basically he gets put through all these tests where he has to pass. Basically saying that he behaves well in public. You know, when strangers approach, when other dogs come by. He has to sit and wait until I call him. He gets put through a bunch of these tests, and both of my pit bulls have the Canine Good Citizenship. So.
I like to put my kids through that.
But yeah, he's a phenomenal dog. I mean, I've had fosters come in since I've had him, and he does so well. All my nieces and nephews, they all love him. He's their favorite. Yeah. He gets along with kittens that we've had from Tia. Yeah. And I take him out in public. He's a favorite at Dog Crazy downtown. So
what's Dog Crazy downtown?
Dog Crazy down.
Hello.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
So Dog Crazy is probably one of the best dog store and cats, but dog stores that I get. I mean, it's right downtown Fredericksburg. Okay. They do amazing things for rescues. They donate food, especially during this time. Yeah. But they sell, everything you can think of for a dog, and it's the best quality stuff that you can get for your dog. So, and so you can they love when you bring your dogs into the store. Okay. So Milo comes in his sweaters, and Alfie and Zoe, and they get petted and free treats and get to pick their own toys. Nice. And they have a bakery for dogs. It's amazing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And people like yourself and really love your animals. Yes. Like they are your children, although we won't do that. We're not going to get into politics. But there is a difference. But we'll let it be. We'll let it be at that. I will have the last word. But
okay.
But yeah, they're like your children.
Yeah.
And to have businesses now have really evolved into appreciating knowing specific diets, right?
Oh, yeah.
Don't you have aren't one of your dogs, aren't they on a special diet?
So I'll bring it right back to Milo.
Bring it right back to Milo. Okay.
Bless his heart. But he's actually an American Bulldog pit mix, but primarily pit, but and he's a white pit bull, so they are definitely more prone to allergies. Okay. So he's got environmental allergies, so the summer is not his time to shine. He likes the winter and fall time, but his feet get really bad, and we do think he may have a little bit of food allergy. So Dog Crazy, stepped in, helped out, in the vets obviously as well, but they found some great food that I can feed him, and it's helped him a lot. So thank you, Dog Crazy, and just some different supplements and stuff to help him, because he's getting older now. I got him at 5 years old, so he's coming up on 6 years. So he's got what I thought was hip dysplasia. He tricked me. Ended up being that he was bow-legged, but I got some $300 at the vet to find that out. But I got some good supplements for him, and they have like hemp stuff that you can give your dogs if they're anxiety ridden. And
really?
They have anything you can think of. So.
Is that real? Where I saw something online where someone said their dog was coughing or pretending to cough, and the vet said he just needed more attention.
It could be. There are some dramatic dogs out there, but who knows? But.
So that before and after picture, who's that you sent
Milo.
us? Okay, so that was when you got him to where he is now.
Yes. So I'd been working at the shelter for a few months, and I had become obsessed with the pit bull breed. Every single dog that I had encountered at that point were phenomenal. Yeah. And the pit bulls are the majority along with the hounds. Mm-hmm. So, our chief officer over at the animal control told me that there was a couple dogs coming in that were going to be beat up, not in the best condition. And I waited that day, wanted to see him, see what jump right in, but they didn't come that day, and I had to go. So the next day I came, and he was in the first kennel, and he had these big eyes, and I'll have to send the picture in too. Yeah. And I said, you know what, you're going to do something to me. Yeah. And, I came over every day between my shifts, let him out, and we got so close, and, ended up, I was the one who ended up getting to adopt him.
And here we are. What are they? Milo, Zoe, and
Alfie.
Alfie. Tell us about Alfie.
Okay. So
he's a special one, right?
He is. So Alfie was my first rescue. I rescued him from the Fredericksburg SPCA. They got me because I came to do the Adventure Tales program where you just sign them out for the day. Yeah. And but I had heard, Kobe, that there was a few other siblings that were going to be there. Yep. So we go in, we're trying to find a dog that, fits our needs, that we want to take out for the day. And I see this little dog just curled up in a blanket, just looking terrified. And we're like, oh my gosh. And we go in, and he's the last one that hasn't gotten adopted yet. And, Tia and I's heart just So
and Tia is your
best friend.
Oh, okay, there we go.
She volunteers with me.
Okay.
And so my fiance at the time was sitting out in the car talking to his dad, so he has no idea what's going on.
Of course not. They
And
never
so
know.
he's in the blanket, just curled up, and we spent some time with him, and we just said, we can't leave without this dog.
Yeah.
So I call and I'm like, can we get this dog? And we adopted him, and he is the best, most submissive dog, but gets along with everybody, anything. He's the dog that comes with me to the shelter to test the other dogs, which helps them get into rescues.
So he's volunteering.
Yeah, he's
So
volunteering.
he's volunteering too.
Yes,
Okay.
he's giving back to the other dogs that need to be rescued like him.
That's an interesting way of doing that. So I believe I remember seeing somewhere in the social media world that there was something you did very special at the King George YMCA.
Yes. So the King George Animal Rescue League partnered with the King George YMCA.
Okay.
And for our Healthy Kids Day that we do every year, we did puppy yoga.
Puppy yoga.
And it was a great family activity to come. We had some puppies that were available for adoption. And
Okay.
then, you're doing yoga, and these puppies are running around giving you kisses. And it's a great time to give the puppy some exposure to find their homes. And we've actually gotten some great, we got new donors. We got a new foster that day. So it was just great exposure for the rescue and a great time. So
What kind of dogs are they? Or just a mix of all of the rescues?
Yep, so it's a mix of any dogs that the King George Animal Rescue League has at the time.
Okay.
Luckily, she had a adorable bunch during the first time we did it. They were little retriever mixes. They were the cutest things. And luckily, we got some cute pictures of them that you guys can see.
Yeah.
But we did it again the following year, and she had some little Yorkie mixes. They were something. But luckily, unfortunately, we weren't able to do it this year. But we're hoping once this COVID ends, we'll be able
Fingers
to continue.
crossed. Count me in.
Yeah, continue this trend on. So absolutely.
Yeah, talk about relieving that anxiety and stress. Partnering a puppy with yoga does show that there's some health benefits to having a dog.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So how can people help, whether it's the King George SPCA, is that what it is, or Rescue League?
Rescue League,
The King George Rescue League or Fredericksburg SPCA, or how can people help volunteer?
I mean, just coming in and the biggest thing is just coming in and letting the dogs out. They need that physical and mental stimulation every single day. Volunteering at events, being someone who transports, the animals.
Going to the location and getting them out of the situation and getting them to the whatever facility they're going to.
Yes, or just taking them to the vet to get their shots, or, there's so many ways you can help. I mean, obviously, donating is something that helps.
Yeah.
That's how we're able to help the animals. But yeah, there's just so many opportunities. I mean, just something as simple as coming in and letting them out for the day, letting them run, and then putting them back. But yeah.
If people are thinking about adopting an animal, which I know you sent us several pictures of animals that are adoptable at this point at your facility, what would you tell them? Because what's worse than not adopting is adopting and then having to bring it back.
Yes.
So what would you tell them? What's that process that you would have them go through before they actually apply to do that?
So one of the big reasons why I love the King George Animal Rescue League is there is a lengthy process to adopt an animal, and that's because they make sure that these animals are going into their forever home.
Yeah.
And so what Wendy does and everybody in the rescue is they have meet and greets prior. They'll have you bring your family, any other animals in the household, make sure they get along, and make sure this is a good situation for both the family and the animal.
Right.
So there's a process, and that's why, the King George Animal Rescue League may not have as many adoptions as other rescues, but that's because they make sure that these animals go to their forever home.
Right.
So yes, there is a process, and they do a background check. They make sure, okay, based on the breed, what kind of backyard do you have? What's your lifestyle like?
That's
and they
so
make sure these
important.
animals go to the right home.
Right.
And the best thing that even going through all this, sometimes it still doesn't work out, and they always take their animals back.
Really?
And that's a huge thing. No matter what the circumstances, once it's a K-girl animal, it'll always be a K-girl animal.
What is that? What was that?
Once it's a K-girl animal.
What's a K-girl?
King George Animal Rescue.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So once it's been in the rescue and it needs to come back, they will always...
King George Animal Rescue League.
Yeah.
Okay, that's funny. That's catchy.
They will always take the animal back if need be. But they do everything possible. We do everything possible to make sure that doesn't happen.
So what's the website people can go to if they want to? Is there a gallery too? I know we have some of the pictures, but is there a gallery?
Yes, they do show the current adoptable dogs and cats. And it's kgarl.org.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can look at ways to volunteer. You can look at ways to foster. Fostering is just as important.
What about fostering?
Yeah, fostering is just as important as adopting. I mean, you give these animals a place to stay, help socialize them, help them recover if they're injured, and I'm telling you, the rescue pays for everything. You don't pay a dime unless you want to. Like myself, I go a little overboard, but they will pay for everything. The food, the medical, the toys, the food bowls, the food, everything they pay for. So you don't have to pay anything. You just give that animal a place to stay until it finds its forever home.
Now, isn't it true that like animals are also healing in a way?
Absolutely.
So you could be doing a volunteer service, but really in return they could, with everything going on right now and the stress and the fact that we are home a lot more and life has slowed down a little bit, it'd be the perfect time to test it out and foster. And let's say you fostered an animal and you've really connected with them, could you then try to adopt that animal?
Oh yeah, and fosters get first priority since they stepped in and helped when it was needed. So fosters, yeah, absolutely, you can adopt. And if you're a approved foster, you're definitely going to be approved adopter because they kind of go through the same process in a way to make sure the home is going to be safe for the animal. So, but yes, animals are very healing. They help, obviously we have our, emotional support animals, right. Or, we have all those, different types. It can be a cat, it can be a dog, it can be a turtle, whatever you want. Animals are healing in so many ways. Horses, right? Yeah. So yeah, they help with anxiety, they help with depression. They're always there. I always make fun of this, but it's so funny. Like, they never, like, the excitement when you come home never dwindles. Yeah. No matter what day it is. It's like, I always tell Tia, like coming down the stairs to see my dogs, it's like coming out of the tunnel of a football game. You're coming out and it's like, ha, and they're like, woo,
every day.
So every single day, and it never stops. They are so excited to see you. They just want to be with you. It never changes.
It's like you're captured in the honeymoon phase of a relationship.
Oh my God, every single day. And sometimes I don't, it's not the day for it, but they will give it to me until I accept it. So yeah, they're amazing.
So, okay, what does your social media look like? So do you have Instagram, Facebook? Do you post pictures of the animals on there too?
Yes, so we do have an Instagram. It's not as updated as it should be. It's something that's a little bit in the works, but our website stays up to date very well. Our Facebook stays up to date really well.
So what are those handles, just in case anyone wants to follow you guys?
So on Facebook, it's King George YMCA Rescue League. I believe it's the same on Instagram. And then the website is the kgarl.org. But they always post updates. The current animals are adopted. They on Mondays they'll post shelter dogs. They'll feature a dog just so people can see it. And the cats as well. We just kind of been in kitten season and had and they've helped out a lot. And the other thing, so some of the programs that the King George Animal Rescue League has, and one of them it's called Free Roaming Cats. And so with the feral cats that we have, especially in King George County and Westmoreland, what we do, we have some volunteers that will kind of trap the cats, spay and neuter them, and then release them. Because these aren't cats that really are used to humans. They kind of have their own lifestyle going. But they spay and neuter them so that way it doesn't keep multiplying. Because, Virginia has, prior to a lot of these rescues coming in and helping, the shelters had a high euthanasia rate with both cats and dogs. But with this transfer program that they're doing, like with Westmoreland that we have in King George, getting these animals out, putting them in different rescues or taking them into our rescue, that has caused the euthanasia rate to go down so low in both counties, which is huge. So, a lot of dogs that wouldn't have had a chance due to these programs have such a higher chance. And, spaying and neutering these feral cats prevents the population from, continuing to reproduce so that doesn't have as many cats coming into the shelter, which is nice.
So euthanasia is still something that's happening nowadays?
It is, but luckily with these programs, they've only been happening in extreme cases. So like extreme medical where, the animal is suffering, or extreme aggression that, has been tried to be dealt with and there's just no improvement. And at that point it becomes, a risk to the community. We don't want to adopt a dog that may bite or act out of, aggression.
God, so unfortunate though.
It is.
So do you guys do any fundraisers?
We do.
All right, so we talk about that.
We do a lot of fundraisers on our Facebook pages. A lot of our volunteers are amazing on their birthdays. They'll, instead of asking for, gifts for themselves, they'll do a fundraiser on their page to raise money for the rescue.
So it's another way people can help.
Absolutely.
So is that Facebook? Because I just did one for the Y. So if it's your birthday, they could say, do you want to raise money for?
Yeah.
And then you guys are listed under there.
Yep, they could type in. You can also Amazon Smile when you shop on Amazon. If you pick the King George Animal Rescue League, some of your, some of that percentage can go to the rescue and help them out as well. So that's another way that people can do it, because we know Amazon is like a big frenzy, especially right now. TikTok has got me with all these Amazon finds I didn't know about.
Oh, man. TikTok and animals, that's where it's at.
Oh, yeah.
That's where it's at. Do you guys have a TikTok account?
We don't. That's actually something I've been thinking of doing.
Okay.
I do have a personal TikTok account that I put some of the shelter dogs on.
Oh, really?
So they are
Should
featured.
people look you up or no?
No. I don't post too much, but what I do, I just do little cute things of the shelter dogs, and I'll usually repost it on my Facebook just so that people can see, because a lot of people that I've met while volunteering didn't even know where the King George Animal Shelter was. So,
it's
just bringing awareness of where it is, getting people in the door. And the other biggest thing, especially with shelter animals, is like to let them know to not base the animal off of what they are, how they act in the kennel. It can be night and day of them being in the kennel, pent up all day, and you're the first person they see. They're going to be in your
have
face.
some grace. Give them some time.
Yeah, and just see what they are. Ask the dog to be taken out, or ask about the dog and see what the dog is like when he's not pent up for 10 hours.
Right.
They're just excited, and once they get out and get some energy burned off, they're probably the best dog. We currently have a dog at the shelter right now. His name is Bear. He's a retriever mix, beautiful dog.
Yeah.
He will yell at you. Well, if you come meet him in the kennel, he'll yell at you.
Because he wants to get out.
Yeah, it's his way of saying hi to you.
Take me out.
But as soon as you let him out in the yard, oh my gosh, he's the sweetest dog. He'll come cuddle you. He'll play fetch with you all day long. He's the nicest dog you'd meet. So.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you were to... Well, wait, you guys are doing another fundraiser, I think, coming up, and that's actually relevant to the studio we're in, Pohinka Studio, Fredericksburg Strong. But there's this big fundraiser that's happening in the next couple of months, the Christmas Tree Challenge that they do. So if anyone wants to support you, they could look for that information that's going to come out on social media about this massive... I mean, it's such a great thing that Pohinka does, and they support a lot of nonprofits in that. But they could bid on your tree with that too, right?
Yes,
and that money will go back to, I don't know, buying the supplies that they need. Or is there ever any need, or not need, but desire for the owner for them to expand your facility?
Well, so for the shelter?
Yeah.
I haven't heard of that yet, but I know there's going to be some changes in the future there, so that could be something in the works. But luckily, the shelter that's currently there in King George is definitely an upgrade from what it used to be on that dump road. So it's a great facility. I mean, always the more space would be best. Right now we have 24 kennels just in the main area, and then some in the back for isolation and stuff. So, but we definitely, it would be nice, but we are pretty good where we're at right now.
Do you have any hopes and dreams of something in the future on your own?
I'm not sure.
Any animal rescue that you want to create, or is that a passion of yours that you want to follow at some point?
I mean, it's definitely something that I would love to do, that I've put thought into, but not anything too big. But I would like to kind of create a sanctuary where some dogs, maybe cats from the King George Animal Rescue League, or some bully paws, and some, whoever else may need the help, where they could kind of have an area to recover, or, if they're dogs that have anxiety that need a quiet place, that could help out in that way, and just be another, brick and mortar place where these dogs can be and save them from possible, risk of being euthanized or something. So that is something I would like to do. I know my dad tries to get me to do like a boarding facility, but I don't, who knows, but I definitely love the rescue aspect. The King George Animal Rescue League has definitely just brought my heart into the rescue part. So,
well, if you're trying to reach out to someone right now that could be thinking about volunteering, donating, or becoming a foster, what would you say the biggest gift being around these animals and seeing the change that you made, and seeing what good life they have now compared to what they have, what would you tell them? Like, what was it that it gave back to you?
I mean, definitely seeing a dog that comes in, or a cat and is, just down spiritually, physically, and seeing that after of them being in a home. And I'll give you an example. We had a dog come in. He was a hound. His name was Elvis. He had part of his lip bit off, just tore up, very scared. I mean, as soon as we would bring him out to play with him in this room called the Sally Port, he checked all the exit doors to see if there was a way out. He was terrified. And we worked with him for months, and Wendy would not let anything happen to this dog. She was going to make sure she was going to get him out some way, and she did. And now he currently lives in the city, goes on yachts, and just is living a life of luxury. And he was running. I mean, he lived in the woods for years. They tried so hard to catch him, and he just was a runner. And just to see the change, I mean, it's like rags to riches for sure.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, we're about to wrap up here. Is there any last thought that you would like to leave someone with right now? Anything that you would like to say on behalf of the King George Animal Rescue League?
I mean, we're grateful for, people who are helping, who are, kind of just taking the time to read up on our rescue, and just learn about what we do and help in any way they can. We're grateful for our volunteers, for our donors, for everybody that tries to bring awareness. We have hunting season coming up soon, so we know we're going to be getting a lot of hounds, and luckily Wendy has this amazing program called Helping Hounds, where we were last year able to save 100 hounds that were ditched, or left behind after hunting season. So just we're thankful for the people who donate so we can help these animals.
When is that happening? Is it Helping Hounds? When does that happen?
So that happens year-round with hounds that come into the shelter, because pit bulls and hounds are the two that we see a lot. So with the hounds coming in, she has this program specifically because they're near and dear to her heart. Wendy is a hound person. And so she has this amazing program where she's able to help bring these hounds out and get them into rescues, because they are definitely in need of it. And hounds, usually get looked over, adoption-wise. And they're amazing dogs.
They are.
And I will definitely challenge people to give them a chance, as well as the pit bull breed if you haven't already, because these two dogs are dogs that will make a comeback mentally, physically, and are amazing family dogs. So, we just greatly appreciate it for our volunteers, our donors, the people who share our posts, like our posts, do the fundraisers, just come out and check us out, maybe buy some of our merchandise at the events. Everybody that supports the rescue, we're just very thankful for, because we have expanded so much in the last couple years. And it's just, last year with adoptions, we had about 120 between cats and dogs, and we have already surpassed that this year.
Wow.
With COVID going on. So we're very thankful.
And so that's January to January.
Yeah.
So you still have almost like a full quarter left, or a little over a full quarter left.
So every year I feel like we do better. So we're just so excited. So.
Well, it's admirable what people do when they volunteer, but people that work with animals, it's something really special, and what you have to see and be able to stomach and still get past that and show up to volunteer every week. Without you, they wouldn't have anybody. So thank you so much for coming in today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me and letting me talk about the rescue and the shelter.
Absolutely. And hopefully people are out there listening, maybe wanting to donate, foster, and possibly adopt.
Yes, that would be great.
I know, right? Thank you so much for watching. This was Riley's Roundup, and I will see you next week.